Literally hours ago, Donald Trump gave a historic speech at the 2025 Digital Asset Summit, becoming the first sitting US president to speak at a quote unquote crypto conference. This speech that we're going to break down today comes only days after the Trump administration announced that there is, quote, no limit to the size of America's strategic Bitcoin reserve, and that they want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. Now, considering we've seen the fastest rate of Bitcoin leaving exchanges in history, as 500,000 coins have flowed out in the past 6 months, we're now faced with an environment where only 2.5 million Bitcoin currently remain available for sale. Given the previously stated goals of the US looking to accumulate 1 million Bitcoin for their reserve, and the chief investment officer of Bitwise being convinced that the ETFs will accumulate more Bitcoin in 2025 than the year prior, your time could be running out to be able to buy Bitcoin under $100,000 and accumulate your generational wealth. So stick around. Don't move a muscle, because we're going to be diving straight into all of the huge news of the week, and with none other than the best in the business, Nico of Simply Bitcoin. We're going to get rolling right now. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your Simply Session. All right, let's get Nico in the room. Yo, man, how's it going?
Yo, dude, you're way too kind, man. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here, dude. So much news in Bitcoin land, and yeah, it seems like the orange man is doing orange things. Very, very bullish things.
Always. I mean, it's in its nature, I suppose.
Yeah, orange man, orange coin. He made a speech today at the Digital Asset Summit. This is the first time a sitting president has made a speech at a Bitcoin/crypto conference. So, I mean, we're watching history in the making. I feel like we've been watching history in the making the last 6 months with the election. The only thing that has been extremely underwhelming, especially with all this bullish news that's happening, is the price action has absolutely sucked ass. Everything else has been incredible. So we're getting all the fireworks of a bull market without the up and to the right. So hopefully the up and to the right catches up soon. Anyways, here is President Trump at the I think this was today, actually.
At the Blockworks Digital Assets Summit. It's an honor to speak with you about how the United States is going to dominate crypto and the next generation of financial technologies. And it's not going to be easy, but we're way ahead. Just 2 weeks ago, we hosted the first ever White House Digital Asset Summit, bringing together many of the world's top leaders in crypto for a conversation led by our White House AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, who's a fantastic and very brilliant guy. That same week, I signed an order creating the brand new strategic Bitcoin reserve and a U.S. digital asset stockpile, which will allow the federal government to maximize the value of its holdings instead of foolishly selling them for a fraction of their long-term value, which is exactly what Biden did. He got a fraction of their value. We're ending the last administration's regulatory war on crypto and Bitcoin, and that includes stopping the lawless Operation Choke Point 2.0. Operation Choke Point went beyond regulation, and I mean far beyond. It was a form of lawfare through government weaponization. Frankly, it was a disgrace. But as of January 20th, 2025, all of that is over. I've also called on Congress to pass landmark legislation creating simple, common sense rules for stablecoins and market structure. With the right legal framework, institutions large and small will be liberated to invest, innovate, and take part in one of the most exciting technological revolutions in modern history. It's so big, it's, I think, as big as you can get. Pioneers like you will be able to improve our banking and payment system and promote greater privacy, safety, security, and wealth for American consumers and businesses alike. You will unleash an explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar-backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the U.S. dollar, and many, many years to come, it'll be at the top, and that's where we want to keep it. We only want to keep it at the top, always. I can already see that the energy and passion of the crypto community is the kind of spirit that built our country, and it is exciting to watch as you invent the future of finance. And right here, it's going to be right here in the USA, the good old USA. Together, we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. Thank you. Good luck. God bless America.
So put the politics aside for a sec, because obviously it was a very American-centric. Again, the historical context of this is a sitting U.S. president that's currently in office. He's going and he's essentially making this presentation in front of a conference and basically reiterating the fact that the United States is ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. It's going to be very friendly towards Bitcoin entrepreneurs or just industry entrepreneurs. And it's going to end the previous administration's essentially attack on Bitcoin. But all of that, I would say the signal is this, and this was actually an article that came out I think literally last Thursday, but I don't think we had enough time to cover it. And it was this: Trump admin wants to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. A White House official told a room of crypto industry leaders this week that the Trump administration wants to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. At a closed-door roundtable hosted by the Bitcoin Policy Institute on Tuesday, Bo Hines, that's the name I want everyone to remember because we're going to go back to him in a second, executive director of the Presidential Working Group on Digital Assets, told participants the White House is intent on acquiring as much Bitcoin as it can. When asked by someone in the room exactly how much Bitcoin the U.S. government might ultimately acquire, Hines joked the question was akin to asking someone how many dollars they want, one roundtable attendee told Decrypt. A White House official confirmed to Decrypt that Hines indeed made the statement about acquiring as much Bitcoin as possible, but added the caveat that any such acquisitions would be made in a, quote, in a budget neutral way that doesn't cost taxpayers a dime. The private roundtable, which followed a public Bitcoin for America policy summit, hosted Bitcoin heavyweights. You guys all know this. We played you guys the original video. At one point during the roundtable, a participant asked Bo Hines whether the White House supports the Bitcoin Act, a piece of legislation reintroduced in the Senate by Senator Lummis on Tuesday that would require the U.S. government buy up to 1 million BTC, worth roughly $80 billion. I mean, they've sent $300 billion to Ukraine, right? I don't think it's anything that crazy in the grand scheme of things. So this was all, he said, she said, but we actually have a video, and this came out after the fact. Actually, this video came out 2 days ago of the same gentleman that I was referring to in this previous article from Decrypt, Bo Hines, and take a look at what he has to say, because it's not a reporter reporting what he's saying. He's actually saying it. Let's check it out.
Well, we delivered on the president's promises that he made on the campaign trail. The president was adamant about creating the SBR. We wanted to make sure that we did it right in a way that respected Bitcoin for being so unique, and also gave credence to innovation in other spaces of the digital asset world. So, for us here, we look at Bitcoin, it's not a security, it's a commodity. It has intrinsic stored value that's traditionally accepted. It has, as David likes to describe, the immaculate conception. There's no issuer. And that's why, as you saw in the executive order, we compared this to digital gold. It's something that's imperative for the United States to have, retain, continue to build on. And I think that's worth pointing out that the way that this is constructed, we talked about ways of acquiring more Bitcoin in budget neutral ways that won't cost the taxpayer a dime. And what I like to say about this president, I think it's high time that our president started accumulating assets for the American people, which is what President Trump is doing, rather than taking it away. And I think that's one thing that we really wanted to make clear in this executive order. And we're looking forward to working with our partners at Treasury and Secretary of Commerce in order to find those budget neutral ways in which we can acquire more. I've been asked all the time, it's like, how much do you want? And I said, well, that's like asking a country, how much gold do you want, right? I mean, as much as we can get.
I mean,
well,
there you have it. There you have it, right? The guy who's in charge of this just literally confirmed not only an article, but also you heard it from his mouth himself. The United States government, the current administration wants to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible.
That's wild.
Why hasn't the price gone up?
That is crazy. Can you imagine like the insanity that would have taken place if you dropped this clip on us in the last cycle, like in 2021? All of a sudden, again, the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, and he's like, yeah, we should be acquiring as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. Why would we put a limit on that? We need as much as we possibly can get. And like, this would be mind blowing. And I feel like somebody in the chat was like, all the normies are still asleep. You're fucking right. They are. They are so asleep on all of this. It's insane to me that retail is basically clueless. It's still just kind of the people that have been in and around Bitcoin, and then it's people in government and people that are in some of these institutions. But like the average person, it's whoa, wow, crazy, man. Like, you catch the game last night. The meme is real.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. I mean, also, Ben, what I want to talk about too is like that thing that he said in the beginning, where he's like, we clearly want to differentiate Bitcoin from the altcoins, to put it nicely. Like, that's everything we wanted, right? Like, that's pretty crazy, man. And and you can tell this dude. And I could say this now. You could tell this dude has a cold card, and he has his Bitcoin in self custody, and he puts his Bitcoin in self custody, bro. So like, you can tell this dude owns Bitcoin, and he's self custodying that Bitcoin. You could just tell. You could see in his eyes. You see little laser beams coming out.
The confidence. It's the
confidence, bro.
Yeah.
He works out with Ben. This guy works out with Ben, bro. Him and Ben, they hit the gym together.
Old cards like nobody's business, man.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, everybody. Moving on to the next piece of news, which I think is absolutely massive. Reuters, the headline is Fintech and crypto companies seek bank charters for growth. Financial technology firms and crypto companies are seeking to become state or national banks in a bid to expand their business under the Trump administration that they view as more industry friendly, according to more than half a dozen industry executives. Firms that had been seeking to expand and gain credibility with customers see an opportunity under U.S. President Donald Trump to get licenses that regulators were previously slow or reluctant to improve. Quote, we have seen a lot more interest. We are working on several applications now. Goes on to say, said Alexandra Steinberg, a partner at a law firm. Quote, is it in full swing yet? I don't think so. Our clients are being cautiously optimistic. They're waiting for things to settle. As the administration installs heads of banking agencies, discussions and preparations for bank charters have increased significantly, according to two other sources who are working on potential applications. It has yet to be seen how many firms will follow through, they said. While an institution needs to deal with more regulatory checks if it becomes a bank, its cost of capital and doing business can go down in certain instances. A license can also give more legitimacy to the business in the eyes of customers and allow it to increase business and market opportunities. This will also allow firms to reduce their borrowing costs by drawing on deposits, another big advantage. New banks will also boost industry competition. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency has granted approval to fintech firm SmartBiz to acquire a Chicago-based community bank. It is the first bank charter approval for a fintech firm since 2021, and industry experts expect this trend to continue. And it goes on and on. But a couple points here, and just kind of connecting the dots. I'm going to make Trump full screen while I say this. I think is he smoking a J or something? Like
it kind of looks like it a little bit.
Yeah. So a couple things to connect here. So Caitlin Long, she's opening a bank. She opened a bank in Wyoming. It's called Custodia, and it was supposed to be like the first Bitcoin/crypto bank. And she got denied a federal banking charter, and it was her words, not mine. She told me specifically that the reason her bank got denied a federal banking charter was that order came directly from the White House, from the Biden administration. That's what she said. Now, the reason that she needs that, and the article kind of briefly mentioned this, is in order for her to be competitive with other banks, she needs a federal banking charter. And the previous administration was purposely trying to keep friendly Bitcoin banks out of that. And now it's been a total 180 because it seems like exchanges and Bitcoin companies are literally applying to be banks themselves, which is absolutely crazy. And one last little tidbit that I'll say is a long time, I would say like 2 or 3 years ago, Michael Saylor said 3 things needed to happen in order for Bitcoin to hit, I think it was like $5 million per coin. First thing was the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF. You can check that off the list. Second thing was the change in the FASB accounting rules. You can check that off the list. And the third thing he said was the ability for banks to custody Bitcoin. And you can check that off the list as well, or it's in the process of being checked off. And the reason that it's so important for banks to custody Bitcoin is a lot of Bitcoiners are, and I was talking to Eric Weiss about this, the guy who orange pilled Michael Saylor. A lot of Bitcoiners are kind of stuck in this predicament. And actually, I was talking to Brad Mills about this today, where they just don't want to sell their Bitcoin. They don't want to sell their Bitcoin. They're like, look, this is awesome. I don't want to sell it. This is to use Saylor's words, this is the most pristine collateral the world has ever seen. Why would I want to sell this thing? I want to keep it. I want to borrow against it. It doesn't become a taxable event if you do that. And people feel comfortable if they did that with imagine if you had your bank and you could just do that with your bank. Right? With all the protections that bank has, the regulations, the history, the government will bail them out, et cetera, et cetera. So, this is quite an interesting development, and I would say an extremely bullish development. And look at how far we come. Elections have consequences, ladies and gentlemen. Will you look at that? That's my take.
Dude, I just want to pull on the string here. The people in the US that are looking at this, and yes, it's in a very exciting time, and but there's also been a little bit of like, oh, it's not enough, or this, that, the other thing. Dude, you know what? Here in Canada, I feel like it's been such a massively missed opportunity for Pierre Poilievre, because he came out hard in support of Bitcoin a few years back. And then he got the ire of the opposing party when there was a bear market, and there's all these sound clips and everything. But then it came back around, and there's this famous clip of Justin Trudeau. And Bitcoiners always purposely clip it out of context because it was great. It's just him saying, buy Bitcoin, opt out of inflation, trying to make fun of Poilievre for saying it. But now that it's come back around, Pierre didn't do his victory lap. He didn't say like, hey, you guys were making fun of me back then, and look what happened. You just weren't low time preference enough. He didn't. And look at what happened in the US by courting that group of voters. Pierre has just really not driven to that voter block at all since initially mentioning it like 4 years ago. And it's just been kind of radio silence, and everybody's like, what do you do? Look at how, and maybe he doesn't want to align himself, and there's a lot of sentiment of trying to paint him as like he's Canadian Trump, which is like very, very different. But I just feel like it's a massively missed opportunity, and I'm kind of dismayed that it hasn't been brought up as an election issue. It should be. But hey, such is life, and we'll see what happens. But it's not, unfortunately, it's not looking in his favor right now.
I know, bro. How do you feel about that, dude? How do you
Dude,
feel about that? The libs might win another. God damn.
In a way, I'm kind of like, you know what? We get whatever we vote for. Like, is it just that Canadians enjoy being like poor and destitute and not being able to put food on the table? Look at the misery of the past 9 years, and you're going to vote for the dude that was economic advisor for basically the whole time. Like, are you nuts? Are you nuts? So we'll see how that pans out. But in a way, if it does happen that way, I think it just gives more fuel to the fire for Alberta to make the case of Alberta sovereignty. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Either way, we're going to take a quick break. But before we do, everybody that is watching, smash that like button. It really does help a ton. If you're enjoying this content, we'd love to hear it. Let us know what you think. If you're Canadian, I saw somebody from Airdrie in here. If you're Canadian, what are you thinking about what's going on up here versus south of the border in terms of Bitcoin related stuff? Let us know in the chat. And Nico, you got a little teaser what we're going to chat about after the jump?
Yeah, absolutely. We still have a ton of content for you guys. So we're going to have an update on the ECB, the European Central Bank. They're going full steam ahead with the rollout of a central bank digital currency. We have news coming out of South Korea. South Korea is not looking to roll out a strategic Bitcoin reserve. But if you take a look at the reason as to why, I mean, Ben, I know you and I are big fans of this institution. They cited that one of the reasons that they're not looking to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve is because of the IMF, right? Look at that. It's almost as if what they told El Salvador sent a message across the world.
All right. Well, we will be back in just 1 minute after a quick shout out to our sponsors. See you guys in a sec. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. Are you ready to level up your Bitcoin mining game? Mining Disrupt is the world's largest Bitcoin mining conference and expo, and it's happening March 25th through 27th, 2025 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Network with industry leaders, discover cutting-edge hardware, and gain insights from world-class speakers. Plus, enjoy exclusive events like the Cigar Lounge and pre-party for meaningful connections. I'll be there, and I'd love to see you. Use the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen right now to receive 20% off your tickets. Don't miss out. DEBIFI is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multisig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Cold Card Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to DEBIFI.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. All right, we are back in, and shotgun sat giveaway over at Bitcoin Well. You can check them out, of course, in the show notes down below, but just snag out your Lightning wallets. Whoever scans that first is going to steal those 210 sats from everyone else. And if you're unfamiliar with Bitcoin Well, it's the best place to be stacking sats in Canada and the US. You can sign up in minutes and you earn points when you sign up, buy Bitcoin, and when you refer friends. And those points can be used to toss a coin in the wishing well. Every time you do, you can win up to 1 million sats. So congrats to whoever snags those 210. And side note, myself and Nico are going to be over at Mining Disrupt on Tuesday, right? Or is it
It's
Wednesday?
coming up. It's coming up. I think it starts on Wednesday,
Okay.
Thursday.
Right. Okay. So this is my first mining conference, and you were there last year, correct?
Yeah, it's it's been here the last couple of years. Yeah, doing this one. No, this is the second year. I don't know. I don't remember. But yes, it's dope. You definitely want to go.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're in Florida and you want to come to an awesome, I'm very excited. I'm doing a panel with Scott, the BitX creator.
Nice.
So I'm going to be doing a little fireside with him. He's an awesome dude, and those things are pretty badass. So anyways, you can scan the QR code on the screen if you want to get 20% off tickets. It's coming up quick, so you better jump on it, and we'll both see you there. Opti will be in the house too. It's going to be a good time. So
it's going to be a great time. Absolutely. 100%. Hope to see y'all at Mining Disrupt in Fort Lauderdale. Anyways, I posted this when I found out about the IMF trying to block El Salvador. And then I was like, I made a bunch of connections in my head. And Lynn Alden liked this second tweet. And when Lynn Alden likes one of your tweets, you know you're over the target. So the first thing that I said is the fact that the IMF is, for anyone who doesn't know, the IMF essentially told El Salvador, told a sovereign country, hey, you can't buy Bitcoin. Nayib Bukele was like, kind of making fun about it, like buying the dip on X, and Elon was responding to him, and the IMF is like, this is making us look bad. Ever since then, El Salvador continues to buy Bitcoin. But the details haven't, are they going to continue to do that? Nayib Bukele has signaled to the world that they have every intention to. So let's see what the IMF is going to do. Anyhow, first thing I said is the fact that the IMF is blocking a sovereign country from buying Bitcoin is the signal. Second thing that I said is 94 countries have loans with the IMF. All those countries were just sent a message that they can't buy Bitcoin. This is why after 2021, no other countries followed El Salvador. Something stopped the momentum. If you've been in Bitcoin for a while, you guys definitely remember the Bitcoin 2021 conference in Miami. That was the historical conference where Max Kaiser interviewed Michael Saylor on stage. That was where Jack Mallers had this very emotional, powerful speech. And that was where Nayib Bukele famously announced to the world via video that El Salvador was making Bitcoin legal tender. It was a historic moment. Bitcoin 2022 came around, and we all thought it was inevitable that another country was going to follow in the footsteps of El Salvador. It was obvious, but it didn't happen. It was like all these like small locations, right? It was Madeira, it was Prospera off the coast of Honduras. So like it was like off like all these countries that like it wasn't even countries. It was like these like small areas, but no other country followed suit. And I remember at the time I was like, something like, why is this happening? Now we know for a fact why this is happening. And it's the IMF. The IMF does not want this to happen. Check out this latest article, Bitcoin Magazine. The headline for the audio listeners is South Korea dismisses establishing strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now let's take a look at some of the reasons. The Bank of Korea has dismissed the possibility of establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, citing concerns over price volatility and risks. This comes despite ongoing global discussions about Bitcoin, about using Bitcoin as part of foreign exchange reserves following the United States' plans to create a reserve. In response to an inquiry from a member of the National Assembly's Strategy and Finance Committee, the central bank rejected adding Bitcoins to its reserves. BOK officials emphasized Bitcoin's wild price swings as a key deterrent, stating that transaction costs to convert Bitcoin to cash could rise drastically if the market experiences instability. Here's the part I have highlighted. The bank also indicated that Bitcoin fails to meet the IMF's criteria for reserve assets. The IMF calls for prudent management of liquidity, market, and credit risks for reserves. Standards Bitcoin does not currently satisfy in the eyes of the Bank of Korea. So, I mean, like, this is like just all you got to do is connect the dots, right? 94 loans. So actually the majority of nations on planet Earth have dealings with the IMF. And if they want to continue to get those deals from the IMF, those loans, those sweet SDRs, they can't buy Bitcoin. 94, that's a majority of countries on planet Earth literally cannot buy Bitcoin because of this institution in Washington, D.C. Are these really sovereign countries? I mean, I've always said, we've said this for a long time, Bitcoin exposes incentives. And it's just exposing the IMF for the world to see. Everyone could see. Listen, is the IMF really in the business of empowering these countries and making it so that they can rise up and become successful? Or are they in the business of enslavement? Because from my perspective, if you're telling a sovereign country who democratically elected their leader has the most popular, approval rating, 95% approval rating, most popular president in the Americas, and you're telling them what they can and cannot do with their money, like, I don't think you give a shit about democracy. I think you care about control. It's always been about control. And if there's a silver lining about what happened with President Bukele and the IMF, is that it exposed the IMF for the world to see. There is no shadow of a doubt anymore. We know what they're all about. Ben?
Yeah, man. I love any opportunity to enlighten people on what absolute snakes the IMF are. These people are the scum of the planet. They go about the world as if they're doing people favors, but it's all rooted in extracting the blood, sweat, and tears of nations. They go around and they offer, they are the money mart of the world. They go around and offer predatory loans, but instead of ruining your credit and bleeding you dry for money, which they do, if you don't comply, quite often you're on the other end of a bullet. And so if you're looking to get a good picture of what the IMF and Bank of International Settlements and all these types of entities do, I recommend you read two books. One being Confessions of an Economic Hitman. This is one of the guys that actually had to go into countries. His job was to offer these loans and begin these processes of basically offering loans that they knew countries could never repay. And then when they start defaulting on their payments, they'd say, okay, well, how about we just take some of your resources? And then they give them new conditions for a new loan in which all of the infrastructure that's built for it is designed to extract the resources from the countries, and they hire external companies from these foreign countries. So the money goes in and right back out. The other book would be by Alex Gladstein, Hidden Repression, How the IMF and World Bank Sell Exploitation as Development. And this book, I screamed at the pages. I was so angry reading it. It is horrible, but there's a glimmer of hope at the end of it that was so refreshing, and it's got that Bitcoin tinge to it, and it at least gives you that light at the end of the tunnel. So highly recommend you check out those books. Once you read those, you'll never think about how the world works in quite the same way.
100%, man. It's no, I'm glad that you brought that up, dude. Those books are they're revealing, man, and it's crazy because these institutions were created with like the intention of helping, and then Bitcoin exposes incentives, and then it became apparent for the world to see that they aren't really in the business of helping other countries. They're in the business of trying to control other countries. Anyhow, moving on to the next piece of news. Update on the digital euro. I mean, dude, this stuff is gnarly. So this is one of the latest posts from the European Central Bank. The digital euro is not about creating a new form of money, says chief economist Philip R. Lane. It's about ensuring that Europe retains control over its monetary and financial destiny in the digital age against a backdrop of increasing geopolitical fragmentation. Now, the reason that's gnarly is because monetary and financial destiny for who, right? Because if you are an individual living in Europe and you buy Bitcoin and you put it in self-custody, right? you have reclaimed your monetary and financial destiny. So who are they talking about? You know who they're talking about? They're talking about the monetary and financial destiny of the bureaucrats in Europe that rely essentially on the people of Europe for the system to work. And what's really sinister about it is, again, the phrasing of it. It's like, look, guys, we're all in this together. No. I can buy Bitcoin today. I can take it in self-custody. It's mine. You can't take it away from me, right? And you can't debase it, right? But the wording of it is extremely sinister, because if you don't know about Bitcoin, you don't even know this is happening. And check this out. And again, we were called conspiracy theorists for this. The digital ID that for the longest time we were gaslit and told is not real is actually connected to the digital wallet, which of course, this is what the central bank digital currency will use. Check this out.
I just left the room where we had the negotiations about the digital identity, and I have bad news. The member states and the European Parliament came to an agreement. That means that probably not far from now, the digital identity will be a fact in the European Union. Right after this agreement, Commissioner Breton said, now we have the digital identity wallet, we have to put something in it. And what he meant was the digital euro, also known as the central bank digital currency. And this is a very bad development. They always promise us not to make this connection. And even a lot of experts, privacy experts and security experts, warned also last week this is a very bad idea for...
Obviously, connecting your ID to your wallet. We all know what happened during the Canadian truckers protest. It's like, trust me, bro. You have a history of not trusting you, bro. And governments have a history of when you give them that much power, they'll abuse it. Right. And if you connect the dots, they're letting you know why they want this to happen. So check out this article that dropped by Bitcoin Magazine from EFROT. The headline is ECB prepping the ground for digital euro launch. In it, she says the European Central Bank is laying the groundwork for the probable launch of its wholesale and retail central bank digital currency, the digital euro. Christine Lagarde, president of the ECB, shared this update at their latest press conference. Quote, President Lagarde stressed that the digital euro is more relevant than ever. Lagarde emphasized that the digital euro, the EU CBDC solution, is set to launch in October 2025, provided it passes the legislative phase involving key stakeholders, including the European Commission, Parliament, and Council. Notably, absent from this process is the European public. We get lectured on democracy all the time. Despite the significant impact this initiative will have on their lives. Now, this is where the mask is revealed, right? Here's Ursula von der Leyen, and she is the president of the EU Commission. Ben, take a look at this. It is absolutely, where is it? Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Wait, hold on a second.
While you find that, just a side note, could they have better villain names? Like between Klaus and Ursula? Like, come on.
Right? Ursula. I mean, and look at it too. You know, the awesome part about these videos though, is that like to the European friends, you guys could say the most tyrannical shit ever, but it will still make you feel good. You know, like she looks so innocent and peaceful. Oh man. So Ursula. I think she was like the villain in The Little Mermaid. Check out this post. Europe has all it needs to take the lead in the competitive race, in the competitiveness race. This month, the EU Commission will unveil the Savings and Investment Union. We'll turn private savings into much needed investment. Bro, that is crazy. That is nuts. You want to know why they need a CBDC? This is why they need a CBDC. Because if your wealth is in Bitcoin in self-custody, no. There is no private saving. Dude, that's crazy. So politicians feel entitled to your saving. Not only do they tax your money via inflation, but your savings, they feel like they have the authority to use as well. That is gnarly, bro. That is crazy. That is insanity.
Unreal, dude. Again, like if you're watching this and you're not seeing the writing on the wall, I know things are hunky-dory stateside right now. They're not as scary in Canada in this exact moment, but things change so quickly. All it takes is another election. All it takes is a bad politician put into power, and you're getting ECB style censorship and draconian regimes coming right down your street. And so you need to prepare. You need to know how to actually utilize Bitcoin day to day, or else all you're going to have is your CBDC, and you will have fun staying poor. That will be a sad day. So prepare. Be ready.
Bitcoin or slavery, man. Anyways, guys, this was March 20th, 2025. I'm Nico from Simply Bitcoin, and this was your Simply Sessions. Pew, 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 pew.
See you soon. All right, everybody, stick around because I have to tell you about some of the worst Bitcoin advice I have seen on network news in quite some time. And it came out of the smug mug of nobody other than Mr. Kevin O'Leary. So we're going to chat about what he had to say and how you can be much better than him and actually be self-sovereign. So we will be back in just a moment. See you soon. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, ColdCard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The ColdCard Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The TapSigner gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. All right, let's chat about what Mr. Kevin O'Leary had to say. By the way, I will bring up this. If you've been taking a peek, if you've got a cold card, or if you're looking at getting a cold card and you actually want to learn how to use it, not just in a basic sense, but you want to be a master of the cold card, then take a peek, because, of course, I have my team over at Bitcoin Mentor, where we can walk you through step-by-step through really anything in your Bitcoin journey. But we started offering the Cold Card Masterclass, where you're going to spend multiple hours learning how to set up, back up, recover, and use your cold card in a variety of different ways, and all of the crazy awesome features that it has. So you can give that QR a scan, or just check out bitcoinmentor.io and reach out. But anyways, back to what I was talking about here, Mr. Kevin O'Leary. Let's just take a listen. He visited PubKey, which, by the way, I like PubKey. I'm actually very excited to head over to PubKey for my 40th birthday next Saturday. So in about 9 days here, I'm having a little bit of a birthday bash. If you're in the New York area, make sure you swing by. But nonetheless, let's take a listen to Mr. Kevin O'Leary at PubKey and see what he had to say about Bitcoin and self.
Kevin, let me ask you this. You say start small, but is it safe? A lot of people aren't sure. When I send my money, if I use my money and I put it in crypto, where does it go and is it safe?
That's a great question. And if you try and do this on your own in a decentralized wallet, as they're called, someone will hack you most likely because you don't know what you're doing. To make it safe, go to an accredited exchange like Coinbase, something that is regulated, but also that you can see every day on your phone, that has millions of accounts, so it's got real structure.
Kevin, let me ask you this. You say start small.
Honestly, this dude has the gall to give that advice, to plunk your Bitcoin in a centralized exchange and give up full self-sovereignty to somebody else, and to FUD self-custody, saying that if you even try to do it, you're going to get hacked. What an absolute ignorant thing to say. Unreal. And might I remind you, this is the same guy that was on national news saying how safe FTX was. It was the gold standard. It was the sign that the industry had matured, and this was the perfect place to park your money. And we all know how that panned out. A ton of people got absolutely wrecked, and he still said that he would do business with SBF after the fact. So no, do not listen to Kevin O'Leary's advice when it comes to anything Bitcoin related. So I said here, do not do this. Check out how to be better. So some of the main things: learn basic self-custody. If you're scared, start small. You don't need to have all of it in a wallet right away. And you can just get a regular Bitcoin wallet on your phone and just learn how to send and receive, back it up, and restore it. Then, of course, use exchanges where you can actually withdraw to your own self-custody. Again, Bitcoin Well, love those guys. In fact, they never actually hold your Bitcoin for you. The second you hit buy, you must have your own Bitcoin wallet. So they start you off with the right, the right habits. Furthermore, once you've gotten to that stage, make sure that you get it in cold storage. Cold card queue, that is my go-to. I love it. It's a breeze. It just works so well. But if you want something a little bit cheaper to get started with, check out a tap signer. It's like a credit card. It's like $20 to get one of those, and you can pair it with your phone and tap and send transactions. It's great. So you can start there and then maybe level up to the cold card queue if you're feeling a little timid. And then beyond that, you can start looking into like multisig and inheritance if that's something that's up your alley as well. NUNCHUK has a great option for that if you want something that's like an assisted multisig where you still maintain control, but they can help you out if you have a mess up. And that might be in the realm of something that you're interested in, especially because you still don't have to have KYC when using it. There's other multi-sig options out there. So shop around, take a look at what makes sense for you. But I like using the NUNCHUK one. And you can actually do this. Do not listen to Kevin O'Leary. He has no idea what he's talking about. You are capable. Anyways, let's move on. And just in the realm of educating people, this is what happened this week. Shout out to Gray Satoshi, who has been sharing this throughout the week. But I just finished up yesterday with yet another webinar, Bitcoin 101 webinar with the Human Rights Foundation. Human Rights Foundation, again, Alex Gladstein leading up all the financial sovereignty tracks and everything that's going on there. And so myself and Anna Chekovich have been hosting these at regular intervals. I believe this is the fourth one that we've hosted. This one was awesome. We did 3 days. We walked people through kind of the practical of Bitcoin. We set them up with wallets. We sent them all a couple bucks back and forth. We were doing lightning transactions. The next day, we showed them how to use peer-to-peer to buy non-KYC. We showed them a live demo of how to use HODLHODL for that. On the third day, we showed them how to set up a donation page with BTC Pay server so that they could accept Bitcoin donations themselves. And we went into a little bit about hardware as well. It was incredibly successful. We had over 100 people in the room at all times through all 3 days. And these are all the people that you want to learn about Bitcoin, the people that are going and using it as a tool to get around financial repression and censorship. And again, it's just, my heart is full every time we do something like that. It's just, it's so nice to see. Let's move on from here really quick. Crux has an update. If you're unfamiliar, Crux, awesome way to create and build your own Bitcoin signing device or hardware security device. So they have a quick update here. It enhances Crux by unlocking more features, adding mini script support. It allows descriptor loading and signing of partially signed Bitcoin transactions from mini script based wallets, and adapted UI and internal verification tools to support these capabilities. Mini script is pretty awesome, and I want to touch on that. So this segues into the next thing, and we got a glowing endorsement from Mr. American HODL here. Mini script is going mainstream. Check out, shout out to Liana Bitcoin and Anchor Watch for leading the way. Time locking is finally here and ready for mass adoption. And what's he talking about? Well, he's talking about this tutorial that I created the other day. This is for Liana. And so Liana is a multi-sig Bitcoin wallet that allows you to use something called mini script. And what this does is, well, in the example, I encourage you to watch the video and actually try it out yourself because it's really cool. But you can create a Bitcoin wallet, and let's say you have a cold card and your loved one has a cold card. And what you can do is you can make a wallet where your cold card is always able to sign from the beginning of the creation of it, and you're able to send and receive transactions. The second cold card is part of the wallet, but doesn't work yet. And at a certain point in the future, after a certain amount of inactivity in the wallet, suddenly that second cold card is available to use. So you could set it for a year of inactivity. Something happens to you, your loved one, by default, without having to do anything extra, their cold card now controls that Bitcoin sitting in the wallet. Really, really cool. There's much more you can do with it, but these are some of the possibilities that mini script brings to the table in terms of multisig. Super, super awesome. I love it. I encourage you to check it out. It's the latest tutorial that I dropped, and it's on the channel right now. Let's continue. I also wanted to show something really cool that just came out from Bitcoin Well. But if you're in Canada, you can now pay any person instantly with Bitcoin and have them receive dollars. So if you're outside of Canada, I'll just explain. Here in Canada, we have something called e-transfers. It's just like a way of doing bank transfers, and they're instantaneous, more or less. It takes a minute or two to land. And so what you can do is you can go onto Bitcoin Well, you plunk in the recipient's email address and like a security question and an answer, and then it just generates a Lightning invoice. Is the quickest way to do it. And whatever you send to that Lightning invoice, it will land in their bank account like a minute later. So in the demo that I did, I sent my wife $20 just from a quick Lightning transaction. And it's just such a cool way. So like if I'm living on a Bitcoin standard, there's people that I like to pay and maybe they're not Bitcoiners yet. Well, I can just set this up with their email address. And then anytime I want, send a Lightning transaction, they get dollars. I'm still living on Bitcoin. They're still stuck in fiat land, but we'll get them there. We'll get them there. Either way, super cool. Recommend checking it out if you're already on Bitcoin Well. And if you're not, check them out either way. Also wanted to let you guys know that the latest episode of Mentor Session with Nathan and Gary came out. Whiteboard Finance, they had him on. Again, he covers a lot of like professional finance stuff, but he's like a hardcore Bitcoiner. And this interview was really, really cool. He's got quite the following online on his YouTube channel and everything. Again, like 1 million plus on YouTube, I believe. So to see him, and he's like specifically Bitcoin, he's great. So anyways, check him out. Very excited to have him on the show. Of course, tomorrow, guys, we've got a hell of a panel. Very excited about it. We've got Harry Suddick. We've got Samson Mao. We've got American HODL on Why Are We Bullish? It is going to be an absolute blowout. I just need American HODL's bullish energy in my veins, like pumped directly into my veins. I don't know if you saw his recent rant. He's like talking about people whining about the price action. Yeah, he's the hero that we all need right now. So anyways, we're going to be live at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So do not miss it. And yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Keep stacking sats. Keep stacking skills. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This was your Simply Session.